Cowboy Jim, Fort McMurray. Got my microphone up a little bit closer, and so I think we're ready to go. If we can pull some content out of life's experiences, we'll be just fine. Last night I went to a union meeting. I have never had much to do with unions. I I guess when I was 16, I worked for about 6 weeks or 2 months hourly for a guy putting in a subdivision, and I uh, I handled what was called a rake. It wasn't mechanized. It was a rake. It was. Oh, gee! After he was done leveling the gravel on the subdivision road, he had me rake it to make it look pretty, and then do sundry other things, a lot of other things that were pertinent to his house building and all that stuff. And but since then, I have always been self-employed until I I took a shot at getting into the movies, and of course, background workers. Fill-ins in the background of a movie set. You get paid hourly, and so I did that a bit, and so on. I never watched Heartland myself personally. I might just be a little pouty about that. I believe I'm the only person ever got fired from Heartland. And the director came over to me one day and he said, Jim, don't come back. I said, sir, I thought I'd been pretty well behaved. He said, you're not forgettable. I said, I spent my whole life trying to blend in. Well, that's not really the truth, but no, I really didn't. And he said, well, you failed. Don't come back. I don't watch Heartland. Boy, I'll tell you, I was on a trail ride one day with that little lady and about 300 other people. My word, that little girl, she is pretty. And I don't think she's aged a day in the 12 years since it's been that we rode together, along with, as I said, about 300 other people. Last night I went to the Union Hall for a meeting, and I walked in, and I thought, whoa, there's someone I recognize. And so I kind of walked over to him. I couldn't put my finger on where. I said, you and I must work together. He said, yes. And he gave the name of the mine. And it's at least 5, 6 years ago, something like that. And I got some more information from him, and he was the union representative. And I thought, oh, I don't tend to speak well of unions because I didn't have any application for them. Being self-employed, I employed people. I I wasn't a member of anything really, and I spoke to him a little bit. Oh, he said you were angry, and I thought, oh dear God, what was I angry about? And I did a video a couple of hundred ago, and title was something like this: "You are making memories for somebody." No, I thought he remembers me as being very, very angry. And we spoke for a while, and then I started to understand the situation back then, and because I'd spoken with him twice. First time, I didn't think I behaved myself that well. Second time, we were addressing an issue of what I thought was injustice, and in retrospect, it was. And he said, Jim, you had every right to be angry. And I thought, oh, thank God. Last thing I want is someone saying, "Oh, he's terrible," and well, I may be, but I'd rather keep that quiet. Yeah, but anyways, I'm not really terrible. Thank God I'm forgiven, and hopefully I've learned from my mistakes. I believe I have. And we had a really interesting talk, he and and I looked around the room, and there were people who I knew. Didn't necessarily know where I knew them from, but I had worked with them at one time or another. And yesterday, a lady came for the local realty company to inspect my little tiny apartment to make sure I wasn't ruining it. And she said, "Is that your truck out there?" I said, "That old black thing." She said, "Yeah." She says, I've seen your truck around." She said, "I'm Cowboy Jim." And she hadn't watched my YouTube video, but she said, "I just love your truck." I do too. It runs time to time, and but it's still cheaper. It's still cheaper than buying a new truck, which costs now. My first house cost $17,000 in 1970, perhaps 71. I think 71, perhaps 70, and it was $17,000. And I think now a pickup truck is 100 grand. One like mine's probably about 120 or 30, and I remember back to the days when a rancher would take 7 cows, late 60s, 7 cows to the auction barn, sell them, and then go over to a dealership, and for the same money could buy a truck, a pickup truck. Not necessarily loaded, but a working truck. And things have changed, eh? Like times have changed. My 5 cent Coke that I bought as a kid and then got 2 cents back for the bottle um, is now $2 or two and a quarter in a pop machine. Same stuff, just that the dollar's gone in the toilet. Does not go as far. Well, in actual fact, nothing really goes as far as it used to. And people speak of the good old days. Well, they weren't all good. They weren't bad, but they weren't all good. And I I look around and I notice people. I go out of my way to notice people. Day before, I had a real good meal in a restaurant, real good. I find it very discouraging when I go and pay. Well, I had a steak sandwich about a month ago, and cost me $42. It was a good sandwich, but I thought I could have cooked the steak better myself. Chips and gravy, good gravy, and but I think our dollar's wrecked, eh? And and that's the way it is. That's the way it is. But I was sitting a couple of days ago, and I looked over at a table in the restaurant that was right across from me, and over about 10 feet. And when there were three guys sitting at the table, I said, "Sir," and they kind of looked at me. I said, "You guys look very familiar." I said, "Have we worked together?" The one guy said, "Yes." Base mine. He said, "I talked with you." And out in the smoke pit, okay, don't be too hard on me. Can't be perfect overnight. I'm getting closer. I think the first time I smoked, I was 7, and now I'm only 73. So perhaps one day I'll get a handle on that. And I realize that we are making memories for someone. The desire of my heart is that the memory that I make for you will not turn you off the consideration that there is a creator and he loves you. I don't want to live my life in such a manner that I am a stumbling block to someone, but I still want to live my life. It's my life. When I close my life in death, close my eyes in death, I will have lived my life. And I hope, it's my prayer. I've said this on the radio at work several times. People will make a comment, uh, and it's a good, respectful comment. I don't get very many that are downright rude. It's been a long time. And I tell people I want to be remembered. I want for you to remember who and what I am and what I said, and more importantly, how I live, what I've done. And I believe that that is critical. I believe it's critical to have something that you believe in, but it is more important to live your life out as though you really believe what you say. And that's, I think, more important. So, last video of the day, real share. And I, I hope that you may find a little inspiration in what I do, how I do it. Um, it would be my most sincere prayer that the guys and the girls that I work with watch my stuff, because it would validate the truth in what I say about God, His Son, that you and I have a moral obligation to care one for another, to recognize the people who stand around and no one speaks to them. No, they could die on the spot and people would step over them walking away because their lives have not blossomed enough that people notice them and care for them. And that is what I want to be remembered for. A hard working man, but one who has a very large heart. And I care. I care for you who watch my stuff. I care for those that I work with, for those that I say hello to, I wave to. I want to be remembered as someone who cares. And you choose what you wish to be remembered as being. And I showed encouragement to you. I truly do. No one is perfect. We all miss the mark. We all have off days. And I just try to have very few of them. And if I am having an off day, I'll just try not to let anyone know. God bless you. You have a good day. Amen and amen.